You have decided to fire me because I was in the hospital? Miss your wedding dinner tasting then. Compulsory English is not my first language, but feel free to nitpick on grammar. This happened when I just graduated uni. I had my main job over the weekend which paid the living and a side job at a large mobile phone, broadband selling company. Basically retail but with phones. The shop was located inside a larger retail store as an island in the middle, and of course a lot of people didn't know about it and didn't exactly visit our store to buy a contract or upgrade. Instead they would go to the store on the high street, which was a lot nicer and bigger compared to our island. A few important details about the store. The working times usually are 9 till 2000 on the weekdays. Tills have to be shut at 8 p.m. Otherwise it causes issues with accounting. Staff members, unless they are warehouse, cannot stay past 8 to 108:15 due to insurance reasons, and only the managers can lock the store up. Warehouse can stay later and they have their own exit. However, it cannot be used by those who are not working in the warehouse. When you finish you have to put the times in a special machine which compares them to your rota. Same when you go for lunch. If you finish earlier than you are scheduled, then the machine will automatically put it as unauthorized absence. The other option is putting it as sick. You cannot take holiday on the day, and the times of the rota cannot be changed on the day either. So you cannot put someone as starting at 9 and change the same day as to starting at 10, as it wouldn't allow you to. If you forgot to clock out, the extra time will be counted as overtime and only manager can amend it. But they cannot make it that you worked less than what's on the rota. However, it is also a lot easier to amend the times on the same day as if you are trying to do it the next day. You will need the details of the member of staff to do it, like their memorable word and so on. Also in our island store you must have at least 2 employers working during the same hours as per company policy. It was my last day at the said store. My manager decided to let go of me because I didn't attend a shift due to being in the hospital and I was still on my probation. I was told that I still have to work the notice period, which was 2 weeks. My manager, I call him Dan, had to create rotas 2 weeks in advance as per company policy. He can change the rotas up to a last Friday of the week, meaning he can change the next week's rota on the Friday before, but not after. So Dan scheduled me on my last day on a 17:0021:00 shift, when my usual shifts are 16:0020:00. I have asked him if this was correct both personally and in the team group chat, and he confirmed it. Dan was also the type of those whiny managers who don't do anything but complain about everything, and do not bother to train you or show you the ropes. So I kinda knew he made a mistake but decided not to mention it. Cue malicious compliance. Friday rolls on. I'm hungry, so decided to have a late lunch before my shift starts. I'm putting the order through and notice Dan is trying to call me. I decline. I finish my order to feel that Dan is trying to call me again, alongside with a few texts received from him. I decide to reply. Dan, hey, where are you? You are not at the store and it is already past 4 and we have one of the higher-ups checking how things are going. Me. Oh, I'm having lunch. I'm not scheduled till 5 p.m., remember? Dan. Well, no. You are lying. Your shifts are always 4 till 8. I make sure of it. Get here. I can't stay as I have to try the food that will be served at my wedding and compose the menu. Me. Oh, sorry, but I really can't. I have just ordered lunch and waiting for it to be ready, and then I have to eat. I have asked you if the rota correct and you said it is. But in case if you don't believe me, I'll send you a screenshot and we'll see you at 5. I did send him a screenshot where I have questioned my times and he confirmed they are correct. Haven't heard from him till I got back to the store. At the store I see Dan talking to the higher-up person. Dan notices me first, waves me over as soon as I sign in and says he really needs to be somewhere else. He just needs to get to his office and get his coat. I nod and have a small talk with the higher-up. Who? Oh, it was so nice of Dan to cover the start of your shift as you were having a family emergency. He is such a good and caring manager? Me. Family emergency? Not sure what you are on about. But my shift have just started as per rota. The higher-up is confused. He asks to see the rota. So I gladly show him the pictures Dan have posted on the group chat. Then higher-up turns to me and another member of staff and asks if one of us a team leader and if not, when did we start. After finding out we are not team leaders and have started less than 12 weeks ago, the higher-up gets visibly angry. He stops Dan as he was on his way to leave and tells him he cannot leave the premises as it is against the company's policy to leave employers who haven't been with the company for 12 weeks unattended or to close up, so he must stay. Otherwise the company insurance is not valid and there will be a hefty fine. Dan has no option but to stay, meaning he was missing the food tasting. He wanted to call his fiancée. However, the higher-up has reminded him no phones during the shift and while on the store floor. So Dan couldn't even let his fiancée know, who was texting him non-stop. While higher-up was there and while Dan was forced to do his job, I had a few more conversations with him and brought up all the things Dan failed to provide us. Training on alongside with lack of support and any progression meetings. So by 8 o'clock higher-up was pissed with Dan and was organizing a meeting with him and extra training for him, which I don't think was paid as Dan had to do it outside work hours. He was also put on a close monitor for at least a month. As everyone was leaving at 8 p.m., I was slowly getting ready. Dan has tried to hurry me up, but I was mainly ignoring him. Dan, the store needs to be closed before 8:10. Hurry up. Me. Oh, but you scheduled me till 9 p.m. today. I cannot leave before that as system will not allow me to clock out. Dan, well, you must leave as insurance does not cover us against theft or damage if there's someone else in the store after 8 p.m. We have to put the alarms on too. Me. Sorry, but I really don't want to miss on any money. You have scheduled me till 9, so I will work till 9. Dan, what are you doing to do? You need to leave. Me. I can clean the display models and the island does look like it needs to be vacuumed. The higher-up was having the best time in the world. He was still there enjoying the show since he saw that Dan put me till 9 p.m. At some point he gets tired of our back and forth and told Dan to cover me till 9 p.m. and stay in the store and then change the hours in the system that I finished at 9 p.m. and I can go home. Dan has tried to argue, but the higher-up has pointed out that it was his mistake and if something happens in the store he will be the one responsible, as he should have checked the rotas beforehand. Dan has no choice but to follow the orders. From what I have heard, he left around 10 p.m. that day as the system wouldn't allow him to log in. His fiancée also left him a few years later. I do not know the reason why, but she took the house and the dog and saved money since she never married him. I have heard that Dan works as a personal growth coach, but not very successful at it either. TLDR. I was dismissed because I had to be taken to the hospital on the day of my shift. After I have noticed my manager made a mistake in the rota, but he didn't own up for it. It resulted in him having a very long shift and missing the tasting session of the food he wanted to be served at the wedding. Your English is great, but not gonna lie. Warehouse made me chuckle. Warehouse is the word for a place where goods are stored in bulk and customers generally don't go. Werewolf is a person who turns into a wolf on the full moon. So I guess a warehouse would be someone who turns into a house. or even a warehouse. On the full moon. TL. Doctor, if you're working in a warehouse, you've got serious problems. Open mouth smile. Dan is exactly the kind of person that becomes a life coach. LMFAO. Hilarious. Slammed by his own rules. That's a sweet way to hit someone like that. Thanks for retelling it. Feel free to nitpick on Graham. Hey. Dan has no option but to stay, meaning he was missing the food tasting. He wanted to call his fiancée. However, the higher-up has reminded him no phones during the shift and while on the store floor. So Dan couldn't even let his fiancée know who was texting him non-stop. Is this prison? And the last paragraph is Seuss AF. Hoist by his own petard. He wanted to call his fiancée. However, the higher-up has reminded him no phones during the shift and while on the store floor. So Dan couldn't even let his fiancée know who was texting him non-stop. This does not sound real at all. Like OP just made this story up as they go. If it is real, like WTF is this? His fiancée also left him a few years later. I do not know the reason why. But she took the house and the dog and saved money since she never married him. How? The grammar is pretty good. With only a few typos here and there. My favorite typo. Stew off members. Overall, it's better than some stories written by native speakers. You even got this correct. Cue malicious compliance. English might not be your first language. But I'd never heard the word rota before. You taught me a new word. Where TLDR? I'll just say that Rule 3 prevents me from giving my honest opinion about the story.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.